we can talk about Blake's underrated receiver. Who is it? Tell me.
Vish, we have same team, so we can just talk about him. But both on the Panthers. Mine is the more of a deep threat guy. Came from the Jets. Kind of, his coming out party, I guess you could say. But I liked him on the Jets a lot, honestly. And that's Robbie Anderson. So was on the Jets, played with Darnold. Darnold's coming back, and I think everyone knows Teddy Bridgewater's not the type of guy to go down the field very much. He threw a drag route on 4th and 10. Famously gets made fun of that. But when he did push the ball down the field, Robbie Anderson's pretty good at contested catches, incredibly fast. Not the best after the catch. Like, if you get your arms on him, he's probably going down. But crossing routes, anything deep, pretty good at slant and goes. I like him a lot, and he could play outside or slot. And I think he was kind of the forgotten guy that people don't really talk about with the Panthers. I guess they're all kind of forgotten. But I like him a lot, and I think, he'll have another 1,000-yard season, especially with a quarterback that has a way bigger arm and is more willing to go down the field in Sam Darnold. So Anderson, baby.
My bad, excuse me. But so, Grant, I'll also just mention mine, and then I'd love to hear your take on him. As Blake kind of set it up, they're on the same team. Jamal knew it was coming. It's right on brand. I've been kind of tweeting about this hard a lot, and it's without a doubt
DJ Moore.
DJ Moore is without a doubt, to me, the most underrated receiver in the NFL. We're talking about a guy.
I'm not familiar with DJ Moore. Can you give me his skill set real quick? I haven't seen a lot of him.
If Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk had a baby.
Ooh, okay, that's dirty.
He's like he's got Deebo's after the catch physicality, explosion, and after the catch ability, which Ayuk has, but I would say DJ Moore's after the catch ability is closer to Deebo. But he's got an Ayuk type athleticism to him and an ability to catch the football down the field a little bit like Ayuk as well and everything. So without a doubt, I would say, I think that's probably the best way to look at him. But, dude, we're talking about a guy who had 1,000 yards with Kyle Allen as his quarterback and Teddy Bridgewater as his quarterback. Yes. This is a very, very good receiver in a division with some good corners that cover him, Marshawn Lattimore and Carlton Davis. And this guy has his way. I think the thing is that he's kind of a quieter, kind of unassuming guy. He didn't have a lot of hype before the draft. Yeah. Right. So people just don't talk about him. I think that he's phenomenal. I think Robbie Anderson is very good as well. I think both those guys, honestly, you could put them both as underrated. Frankly, you could put DJ Moore's teammate, Calvin Ridley, or not teammate, excuse me, draft class peer, Calvin Ridley, also in the 2018 draft class, as another guy who's underrated. But, yeah, those two Carolina guys, they're filthy good. They're filthy good. Yeah, Sam Darnold's really in an elite situation to succeed. Yes. Taylor Moton's an elite right tackle. They have a pretty good setup around him.
All right, real quick, let me do my sleeper, and then you guys can do your sleeper, and then I got to go eat dinner. My sleeper, this is like the deep – this guy's a number 2 receiver, all right? But I think he's a freaking baller. John Brown. John Brown has been on 3 teams. He was with Arizona. He was with Buffalo. And now I didn't even know what team. The Raiders got him. I like that signing for the Raiders. First of all, he's better than Henry Ruggs. The way I look at John Brown was when Arizona went to the NFC Championship game, he was not the number 1 receiver Larry Fitzgerald was, but he was the explosive element in that offense. He was the X factor. He's what made them dangerous. He was just as important, if not more important than Larry Fitzgerald. Then last year, Stephon Diggs is great, but having both of them and having Cole Beasley's hella good too. But having John Brown was always really nice. And now I see him on the Raiders as being basically him and Darren Waller are going to be quite a combination. I think he's an upgrade over Nelson Aguilar, who went to the Patriots. John Brown.
You think John Brown still got it left in his legs? He's been injured quite a bit.
He did have an ankle injury last year. He was on the COVID list. Let's see. He's 30. Let's see.
All right, fair.
If not, he had a good career.
He did. And I like that you mentioned the Arizona, because I mentioned Carson Palmer earlier. Carson Palmer was bombs away in Arizona to Michael Floyd and John Brown.
Yes. John Brown was way better than Michael Floyd. Anyway, who are your sleepers?
Mike, go ahead.
All right, I got 2. One of them's a homer pick. Allen Lazard, he does it all. If he was not injured as much this year, I think he would honestly be people would recognize him as the number 2, really good blocker. He third and over like 12. he tossed Jalen Ramsey off and beat him in one-on-one coverage in the divisional game. Not gonna say too much on that, but
no big deal.
Would not happen to Jair Island. All right, but in all seriousness, my underrated guy is Tyler Boyd, Bengals slot receiver, 1,000 yards.
Pittsburgh.
Raven, I want to say it was the Ravens. It was like 4th and 8, and they bounced. They got the Bills into the playoffs in 2017, and John Brown scored like a 30-something yard touchdown to win. But no, he's really good. If he did not play in Cincinnati, I think he'd get a lot of talk. Amazing slot receiver. He's going to get 1,000 yards this year. I know they have Chase. I know they have Higgins. I feel like he'll still get 800, 900, 1,000 yards because he's just that consistent.
He just destroyed coverage. He's good.
Him and Burrow had chemistry for days.
He's good.
Yeah,
he's just
he
good.
is definitely very good. He is very good. So
I liked him coming out of Pitt. I remember him.
I funnily enough was going to actually mention Tyler Boyd. So that kind of throws me for a little bit of a loop. Let's see if I can recover here. And so I think there's a lot of guys, honestly, that are underappreciated, but I'm actually going to go to a guy that was a former 49er. I'm going to say Kendrick Bourne. And I'm not going to say Kendrick Bourne because he's not underrated in the traditional sense where you're talking about, a big-time receiver like I talked about with DJ Moore that no one talks about, or Terry McLaurin, he's just, I think, a really, really good, solid player who's very durable, who's good in the red zone, who gets open in tight spaces, can grab contested catches, is a willing and competitive blocker. He just checks every single box of what you need for a consistently good receiver on your football team. Okay. And I think that as Niners, I just think he wasn't appreciated, honestly, for his time with the Niners. He had one game. He had one training camp where he dropped the ball way too much, according to everybody. And then he had one game against Seattle where he had 3 drops. And it's Kendrick Bourne drops everything. He has one drop, he has one drop for the rest of the season. It was against the Vikings on a 3rd and 6 when Garoppolo, I think, put the ball maybe a couple inches too far in front of him. Bourne should have definitely caught it, and he let it go through his hands. And get Kendrick Bourne out of here. He drops everything. He's the worst. But honestly, I think the Niners
would also have false starts and stuff. They'd be like kind of boneheaded stuff where it seems like, is he really serious about the game? But
but it was only him, right? It was only him. Like Kittle would have false starts, and nobody would say anything. And Kittle would look at the camera with his eyes wide apart,
Yeah.
But no, I'm kidding. But Kendrick Bourne, I think they're going to really miss him this year. And the one thing about Bourne, right, is that he was the one guy that played 16 games year in and year out for this team. He was the one guy that showed up every week. He was excellent on 3rd down. Sure. He was very reliable for this team. He was very reliable for Jimmy Garoppolo. I do think they're going to miss Kendrick Bourne. I think on paper he's a good fit for New England. Let's see if he ends up being a good fit for New England because the moment he drops a pass there, those Boston beat writers are going to be like, he dances too much. Look at him and Cam Newton dancing. There's no dancing allowed in football. They're going to be talking about the dancing. But honestly, I think he's a very underappreciated good player.
That was interesting. I like that.